and welcome to Moms on Mics. I'm Joanne,
I'm Cash.
And I'm Sophia.
and this episode we are talking about Dylan Ehler, the 3-year-old boy from Truro, Nova Scotia, who went missing on May 6, 2020. Dylan was last seen wearing a green winter jacket with USA patches and a faux fur hood, a red dinosaur t-shirt, and camo jogging pants. The weekend before his disappearance, the family had celebrated Easter. His grandmother, Dorothy Parsons, bought him brand new rubber boots. 3 weeks later, those same rubber boots were the only things found when Dylan went missing from his grandmother's backyard.
Sometime between 10 to 10:30 a.m., Ashley dropped Dylan off at her mother Dorothy Parsons' house, 321 Queen Street, Truro, Nova Scotia. Dorothy, her husband Jeff Parsons, and Sean Parsons, who is Jeff's son, Dorothy's stepson, lived on the top floor of the house. Dorothy's in-laws live on the main level of the house. 10:30 to 11 a.m., Ashley and her mother walk for a bit, and then Ashley leaves to have coffee with a friend for a few hours. Ashley didn't have a working phone as Jason, Dylan's father, had smashed it days before in an early morning fight that escalated quickly, resulting in Ashley and Jason being charged in the incident. The charges were dropped when they agreed to attend counseling. 12 p.m. Dorothy's husband, Jeff Parsons, not Dylan's biological grandfather, comes home from work for lunch. He left at 12:45 p.m. and said that Dylan was running around playing and watching television. Sometime between 12:45 p.m. and 1:15 p.m., Dylan and his grandmother went outside. Parsons turned her back to deal with her dog for anywhere between 8 and 10 seconds. The amount of time differs between witnesses as to how long it was. However, when she turned around, Dylan was missing.
1:15 to 1:20 p.m. Dorothy states that she immediately runs to the road thinking Dylan may have run there. If he ran off, she does not know which direction he went. Neighbors hear Dorothy calling Dylan's name and come to help. She instructs at least one neighbor to call 911. Another neighbor heads immediately to the brook to search for Dylan and does not find him or any evidence that he was near the brook. 1:24 p.m. Constable Kim, Constable Germain, and Sergeant Hunka were notified by TPS dispatch about a missing child, and the police investigation began. Constable Nicole Germain was on patrol that day in Truro and arrived at the scene of 321 Queen Street within 4 minutes of the call. Constable Germain questioned Parsons about the incident, then proceeded to search the area for Dylan. She obtained a photo of Dylan and a description of what he was wearing, then distributed it to other members of the police force on shift and to dispatch. This was all sent out within 10 minutes of her arrival on the scene. Shortly thereafter, Constable Hunka arrived and instructed Constable Germain to contain the scene and to support Parsons. Constable Hunka was the patrol sergeant on duty that day. At the scene, he asked if there had been a search of the home and any vehicles. He was informed by Constable Germain that the searches had been done. Constable Hunka's plan was to have as many boots on the ground as he could and immediately decided to involve the police K-9 unit. Constable Germain blocked Elizabeth Street with her vehicle as required, only allowing family members of Dylan's down the street, but not the general public. The officers were multitasking in their effort to find Dylan.
1:37 p.m., a request was sent out to have the K-9 unit contacted. Constable Milbury was the police officer who was in charge of the K-9 unit who received the call. He was advised there was a missing child and that the canine unit was needed. He was off duty that day and advised he would come immediately to the scene. He geared up and got the dog ready. He said he was on the scene within 35 to 40 minutes. Later, Ashley and Jason would argue that some neighbors and residents were searching for Dylan in the area and this were contaminating the scene. However, Milbury stated that this was really no surprise to him because he expected people to be on the scene before he got there. He said in an urban setting, there would be more contamination from foot traffic than in a rural area. However, this did not prevent him and Onyx, the canine, from searching the area. 1:41 p.m., Chief Hearn went to the Stanfield ball field and to the train bridge/train tracks. This gave him a wide view of the area, including a view of Leper Brook. He had radio communication, and was aware of what was occurring. Leper Brook is close to the backyard of the Parsons residence. On May 6th, Leper Brook was unusually high. In fact, one witness described it as raging. Constable Germain searched the buildings around the property, including the Parsons apartment. Constable Kim was searching the railroad tracks. Constable Germain searched the front and backyards of the homes on Elizabeth Street and spoke to several people who answered their door. Both she and Constable Kim went to every door and spoke to every resident who was home at the time once the canine unit left the area. A second canvass was done later that day by Constable Taylor, Titus, and Cormier on Elizabeth Street. While that was being done, other police officers were checking video cameras. Constable Emery, who was checking leads, spoke with a number of individuals whom he encountered to see if they knew anything about the missing child. Over the next few days, businesses were checked, videos viewed, and people questioned.
At 3 p.m., Jason Ehler arrives on scene. He had been trying to reach Dorothy Parsons earlier in the day, between 10:30 to 11 a.m., and again at 2:15 p.m., as he wanted to see Dylan, but was not getting an answer. He was under a no-contact order with Ashley, so he drove to her house to find out where Dylan was. He did not know Ashley had dropped him off at Dorothy's. At 3 p.m., Ashley's dad, Norman, was notified about Dylan. As he couldn't contact her by phone, he went to pick her up. By then, more police and volunteers were arriving and fanning out. Hundreds of people were involved in the initial search. Neighbors were canvassed, none of whom saw anything particularly helpful. May 2020 was early days in the COVID pandemic, and people were largely sticking close to home. At 3:45 p.m., search and rescue arrived on scene. 4:32 p.m., a non-intrusive public alert issued by Nova Scotia Emergency Management Office. Alert remains active until 9:59 on May 7th, 2020. NSEMO, Nova Scotia's Emergency Management Office, cannot send out the alert until directed by police. EMO received the approved message about Dylan from the Truro Police at 4:13 p.m. 7:20 p.m., first boot found submerged in Leper Brook in a shopping cart that was also submerged in the brook. So just to be clear, this boot was submerged under the water and it was not visible from the surface. So they've had to dig down and find it underneath, I guess. 8:43 p.m., second boot found submerged in Leper Brook in a turn that leads into the Salmon River. There were aerial searches, which included 18 flight hours. GSAR, ground search and rescue, was fully engaged for 6 days. There was a reported sighting of Dylan at the superstore. The person reported it to the TPS. Constable Germain questioned the manager, who advised the person in the video had a completely different outfit and did not meet the description of Dylan. Constable Germain did not look at the video. I would say that's a huge fuck up, right? I mean, so what? The kid's not wearing the same outfit. Guess what? they can change clothes. Right? Like, I mean, so if they had a different color sweater on or they didn't have the same jacket, you're not gonna look into the video. You're talking about a missing 3-year-old man. I think I would look irregardless, right? Like even if they're like, well, we think it was the little girl, who cares? Look anyway. Unless you clearly like if they're like, no, that was my niece with her whatever, you need to look, I think.
Yeah.
Big, yeah, big screw up by the police there. So Inspector Smith spoke with the employee at Laver's house, a local halfway house, and was told that all the residents there were accounted for. The employee told Inspector Smith that the house had been on lockdown for weeks because of COVID, including May 6th. This meant no one was able to leave without permission, and no one gave permission for anyone to leave. The evidence indicates they were all in the residence following the lockdown order. Norman Brown, Dylan's grandfather, was told by a group of searchers and family members that they saw a man walking down Elizabeth Street on the afternoon of May 6, 2020, carrying a large hockey or duffel bag that looked heavy, and he went inside 16 Elizabeth Street. Mr. Brown did not see this person himself. However, he went to 16 Elizabeth Street to investigate the matter himself, instead of immediately reporting it to the police. Once he arrived at the house, he was observed by the fire chief, who then called the police. The chief and 2 police officers attended and knocked on the door of the house. They spoke with the man and looked at the duffel bag, which contained laundry. Mr. Brown's suspicions were also raised because he was told that a hole being dug in the backyard at 16th Elizabeth Street. TPS also investigated this. Ashley and Jason would later argue that the police did not enter and search the house at the time. According to the law, however, they couldn't. They would have to acquire a search warrant to get into the home, and to obtain the warrant, they would need grounds that would satisfy a judge. Okay, but if I am the resident of 16 Elizabeth Street and they came knocking on my door saying, hey, there's a 3-year-old boy missing, can we just check this bag? Why the fuck wouldn't you let him check the bag? Why the fuck wouldn't you let him check the backyard? Right? Like, who cares? If you have done nothing wrong, and obviously, okay, maybe they didn't want to incriminate themselves in a different crime. I don't know, man. You're talking about a 3-year-old boy. There's no way that duffel bag was full of drugs. Like, they're talking a hockey-sized bag. Sophia, could you imagine a hockey bag? And I say
you know what?
because
You can fit 2 of Anissa's
right?
in a hockey bag, and she's like about 5'2" and 106 pounds, and you could
Right?
fit 2 of her, if not probably 3 of her, inside her hockey bag. Like it's insane how big her hockey
Exactly.
bag is, bigger than her.
So could you
Right?
imagine trying to fill that with drugs? I'm sorry, there's no way. In fucking Truro, Nova Scotia,
That's a lot
there's
of
no way.
drugs.
Like, I don't know. There's no reason this guy or girl or whoever it was wouldn't have just been like, you know what? Hey, come search my bag. If you have nothing to hide, let him search. Let him search your backyard. And I'm sure people will have a difference of opinion because some people say, well, it's all right not to be invaded by the police. You're not being invaded by the police. They're asking you if they can search because there's a missing 3-year-old boy.
Yeah.
If police knocked on my door right now and said, hey, can we search your house because there's a missing 3-year-old boy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go nuts. Fill your boots.
Yeah.
You can search wherever the fuck. You want to dig up my backyard?
Yeah.
Dig up my backyard. Whatever.
Yeah.
Find the kid. Who gives a shit about your house being searched? Unless you're doing, and if you're doing illegal shit and you don't want to get caught that way, here's the thing: don't do illegal shit to begin with. What do you like? Sorry about your luck, criminal, but like, I don't know. I think like obviously there's a reason we have these rules and laws, and they are to protect the people, and I get that, but come on, man, you're talking about a missing kid,
But it's just like the video. Why didn't they just look at it?
right? Like,
Just to confirm that it wasn't that person.
exactly. Like, we know people's like eyewitness accounts are unreliable. We just are. It's not any fault of us. I don't give a shit who you are, smartest person in the world. Eyewitness account is unreliable because you don't know that that moment is important until someone tells you it is later, right? So, okay, think about the person you walked past in the grocery store last time you were there. They had a blue jacket on. Do you remember that person?
Oh, hell no.
Fuck, right? There was somebody in the grocery store at the same time I was.
I don't
didn't
even
notice.
remember what I wore yesterday.
Right?
Okay.
It's just right, like we're not reliable like that, and
No.
that's okay. That's totally fine. Some people like are better than others, but if you don't know the situation is significant, you don't remember the details. And that's fine. So why not check the video? Because this manager, first of all, he's the manager of a grocery store. Do you know how many people that guy probably fucking sees during a day?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you fucking remember? Like, there's no way you would be able to say, "Oh, I did see a kid, but he actually wasn't wearing that." The fuck? If you ask me right now what my kid is wearing that I just saw not that long ago, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
I'm gonna hope he's wearing pants and a shirt. That's all you get.
But it's also a grocery store. How many kids actually go through there a day with their parents or their caregivers of some sort?
Right? There's so many. There's no way you would remember. Like you just wouldn't. So there for them to not check this video, that's fuck up on the cops.
Jason and Ashley were surprised by the way things unfolded. To them, it felt disorganized and almost casual. People stood around talking, drinking coffee. Ashley and Jason were in a daze, unsure of how to respond. They stayed at Dorothy's awaiting instructions. Jason said that search and rescue teams did not arrive until at least 6:30 p.m. However, the Truro Police Services said that the first ground search and rescue members were searching for Dylan by 3:40 p.m. and that they also deployed a combination of canine resources, local fire departments, Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, a helicopter, Colchester, Special Hazard Response Unit, Swift Water Rescue, drone technology, thermal imaging technology, an underwater dive camera, and the provincial dive team. But just like in the McDougal and Lillian Jack Sullivan cases, they didn't issue an Amber Alert. The rubber boots Dylan was wearing that day were found 6-7 hours later, submerged in 2 different locations in nearby Leper Brook. According to an article in Wired, firefighters and search and rescue volunteers were called in, trudging waist deep into the creek. When a rescue volunteer pulled one of Dylan's little gray rain boots from an errant shopping cart submerged in Leper Brook, it didn't look good. An hour and a half later, another volunteer found his other boot stuck in the muck about 60 feet downstream. Later, Jason's twin brother, Justin, conducted an experiment, dropping boots off a nearby bridge. He said they ended up almost the exact same spot as Dylan's boots.
Yeah, Justin and Jason seem to have this theory that the boots were planted there versus coming off Dylan's feet type thing. So that's why they did this experiment. It does seem very strange that they were submerged and like lodged into the locations that they were, right? And to be in separate locations, it seems a little weird, personally.
Well, it seems weird with the shopping cart.
Yeah, for it to get stuck in there. I mean, it makes sense that it could get stuck in there, obviously, like 'cause it's traveling downstream or whatever, but I don't know. The boots really bother me, them being stuck there and in different locations. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just odd, I guess.
A mannequin was deployed into Leper Brook, near where Dylan Ehler was last seen the week prior. The mannequin had been made to match the weight and height of the 3-year-old and was wearing similar clothing. It had also been equipped with radio transmitters. The provincial dive team and Colchester ground search and rescue were assisting police. They put it into the waterway where searchers had been focusing their recovery efforts. The mannequin was tracked overhead by a helicopter, and reporting stations were set up along the Salmon River to capture the signal. As the mannequin floats, the idea is that it will give a position to the receivers and it will be able to help us map and chart a possible area to search again. Truro Police Chief Dave McNeil told CTV News. The stop logs had been pulled out of the reservoir on Leperbrook, which feeds into the Salmon River, to simulate the conditions of the day Dylan disappeared. Thankfully, the tides were similar to the tides on May 6th, making for ideal conditions to try the new technique. We're prepared to try anything to locate Dylan, and this is not an exact science by any stretch, but it's something that we're willing to try, said McNeil. Police asked residents not to call 911 to report anything suspicious in the Salmon River during the operation. You can't help but wonder, why would the river be able to carry away a 32-pound boy, but not his rubber boots? Police...
Sorry, I think that's why it bugged me, right?
Where's my stop sign? No. Sorry.
No, it's all good. But is that not weird?
yeah.
Like rubber boots, they weigh fuck all, but they can carry the river can carry the kid away, but not the boots. Like I understand the kid being separated from the boots in the river.
Right.
That would make sense, but then the boots should have continued the same path that the kid was going, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would the boots not? Like, when the weight,
Well,
it's the
you know
weight
what?
of it.
I'm thinking about, like, because we camp. Where we camp, we have a river, and we're always in the river. And it's weird because the different areas of the river have like different tides. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the middle can be very still, but the sides can be going really fast.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
right.
like if he floated to the side and then he's running down the river really fast, but the boots are light and they just stay in the middle, you know what I mean? So there is different. The river is not all one flow,
But from
right?
but
It's multiple flows.
from the video of these when they were doing this experiment, it was all flowing in one heavy.
And one heavy.
Yeah, it one like I don't know if heavy and river is the right description.
I don't
but
know.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean, right?
It's,
Like
it's
it was
hard because we don't know what's going on underneath the river either.
for sure.
Right? Like it can look one way on top and then be completely different
That's a good point. Yeah.
just like in the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it looks okay, but underneath you have like those weird things going on, right? That will suck you in and
Yeah.
not let you go, sort of deal, right? And I don't know, we don't know what the river looks like underneath, right?
That's a good point.
And,
Yeah.
and on top, it can be two completely different things. That's why rivers are so dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Police also asked residents not to conduct their own searches for the boy. They are aware of an online group inviting people to search for Dylan this weekend, but say they don't support the idea. As frustrating as that may seem, because obviously people want to help find a missing 3-year-old, you have to remember the police need to preserve what could be a potential crime scene. If there's any chance the child was abducted or that foul play is involved, officers need to preserve footprints, tire tracks, scent trails, dropped items, or ground disturbances. Untrained searchers can accidentally disturb or destroy evidence without realizing it. A single footprint or scent trail can be critical. Search and rescue dogs rely on uncontaminated scent environments. If dozens or hundreds of people walk through an area, the child's scent gets overwhelmed. Dogs may follow unrelated scents and the trail can become impossible to track. This is one of the biggest reasons police restrict public searching early on. When a crowd of volunteers searches a wooded or rural area, they might leave clothing fibers, drop items, or disturb natural areas. Later, investigators can't tell if something belongs to the missing child or a volunteer. That introduces noise into the investigation.
Missing children are often searched for in risky environments like rivers and creeks. There could be unstable ground, thick brush, cliffs, or extreme weather. Untrained volunteers can get injured or lost, creating additional emergencies. When huge numbers of people show up, there's a risk that unverified theories start spreading. People live stream or post online, and family members could feel pressured or overwhelmed. The police sometimes limit public involvement to reduce misinformation and protect the family. The police also noted that properties along the rivers are privately owned. Accessing them without permission would be considered trespassing. Police also had to remind residents that COVID-19 restrictions were related to physical distancing and social gatherings remained in effect and would be enforced. Despite the extensive search and rescue missions concentrated on the waterways, and after consulting with ground search and rescue, police say the search for the missing boy has been exhausted. After 6 days, police told Jason and Ashley that the search had been exhausted. They promised to try again in June or July, and there were whispers about budget cuts. A Truro police spokesperson said that the active search went on for 5 days, involving a huge amount of resources, and that budgetary implications were not a concern. We were so desperate, and the police were like, "Your son drowned, go home," said Jason. They were so quick to push us out the door, it's ridiculous. I will say, that is total bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, 6 fucking days? You're talking about a 3-year-old. We talked about this with the Darius McDougal case and the Lily and Jack Sullivan. 6 fucking days. That's all the other 2 were allowed also. 6 days, that's it. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't seem enough. Dylan's family and close friends searched every weekend for the first 2.5 years. Searches have slowed now, and sadly, no other trace of the toddler has been found. His case remains open. It is possible he drowned or was abducted. Dylan is now 8 years old. At the time of his disappearance, Dylan was about 3 feet tall and weighed 32 pounds. He is a Caucasian male with brown hair. His left eye is hazel, while his right eye is half hazel and half blue, split vertically. That's kind of cool, that eye color, right?
I'm like trying to talk and I'm muted. I have a girl in my class and one eye is blue and one eye is brown.
That is cool.
So cool. It's so cool.
Psychics have told the parents where to look for Dylan, as they always do with missing children, but nothing has come of it. They have received ransom notes from people claiming to have him, demanding $10,000 or $12,000 or 3 bitcoins, threatening to beat Dylan, to throw him out of a moving car. One note included pictures of bloodied and battered women, saying that Dylan would be next. None of these incidents have any merit. The police believe that Dylan left his grandmother's backyard, walked through a thick brush, and accidentally fell into the Leper Brook, losing his boots before being swept out of the brook into the Salmon River, then into the Cobequid Bay, the Minas Basin, and then the Bay of Fundy, an inlet of the Atlantic Ocean. My friend would be really mad at me pronouncing these words.
I was going to say, anyone listening, before you come at us mispronouncing these names, give us a break, man. Like, I tried looking them up and putting them phonetically. I did the best that I could, but I don't know, man. Words are hard.
Well, she's from that area, so she would be mad at me.
You know, it's funny. So I was talking to a friend of mine, total sidestep from this for a sec. I was talking to a friend of mine and telling her how with one of the other cases we covered, that was the biggest thing. People were like, you mispronounce these words all the time. And she was like, we're from England. People mispronounce everything from like every UK town, all the time. And we don't care. We don't like attack them. Like, whatever, man. Like, you know what we mean. If we're saying it wrong, you know what we mean. Calm down. I have pneumonia. I'm doing my fucking best, man. Be nice. Don't come at me for mispronounced names. Suck it up.
The Bay of Fundy is home to the highest tides in the world and an amazing phenomena known as tidal bores. According to the Fundy Discovery site, a tidal bore is a tumbling wavefront which moves upstream in a in a river, announcing the arrival of an incoming tide. Tidal bores occur in regions of the world that have large tides. However, a tidal bore does not occur in every river flooded by a high tide. When the tide recedes, the ocean floor and riverbeds is left completely exposed. There was just one tidal bore on May 6 at 11:50 a.m. The next one was just after midnight on May 7, 2020. There were two tidal bores on May 13th, which was the date of the mannequin test, one at 5:36 a.m. and one at 6:20 p.m. These readings for the time of the tidal bores are from the Fundy Discovery site, which is about a 10-minute drive from Elizabeth Street, where Dylan was last seen. As mentioned above, tidal bores only happen when the tide is coming in, and in Truro, they occur about an hour before high tide, as the river will continue to rise for about an hour after the tidal bore arrives. Because the Salmon River is so narrow, the tide can go from low to high tide in just an hour. According to Dylan Ehler, the police had to remove the weights from the mannequin as the weighted mannequin continued to get caught up in Leper Brook. Even with the weights removed, the mannequin continued to get caught up and had to be helped into Salmon River by the professionals in the kayaks. So, in theory, if Dylan had entered the water as the police suspected, his body would have also got caught up in Leper Brook and not swept out to the Salmon River, then into the Cobequid Bay, the Minas Basin, and then the Bay of Fundy, and eventually the Atlantic Ocean. And if the river wasn't strong enough to push the boots out, how would it be able to push a 32-pound body?
That is an interesting point with like the mannequin. So it kept getting stuck on these things. Well, the mannequin was made to emulate Dylan's like size and weight, right? So his body would have done the same thing.
Would have gotten stuck somewhere along the way.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then with these high tides coming in, and it's saying that it's pulling, basically exposes the ocean floor, right? Of whatever, like the other part of the floor is exposed. Wouldn't that have meant it would have been easier to see the bed? Do you know what I'm saying?
So how deep was the shopping cart too then? Because wasn't it like...
Yeah, that must have been exposed. Like the whole thing must have been I mean, unless I'm understanding this wrong. It depends, I guess, how far let me see what it said up here.
Because doesn't it say that they were in their like suits when they found the boot and the shopping cart?
When the tide recedes, the ocean floor and riverbeds is left completely exposed. Okay, so when I was in the UK last, we went to Fredericton. So it's right on the seaside. This little bit of ocean, basically, we looked out of our hotel room and there was all these boats that are all docked and everything, and they're all floating and everything. And in the morning, they're all on the ground. They're all sitting there on the ocean floor because the tide has gone out. So you could not take that boat out because you're stuck in mud, basically. You could see on the bottom of the floor, like if there was dirt, garbage, rocks, whatever, you could see it all. It was all like, you could walk along it if you wanted to. Your shoes would be fucked, but you could totally walk along that. So I'm assuming it's the same thing. Like the ocean floor is all exposed. Anything that had got stuck or caught, like the rubber boot in the shopping cart, that should have been all exposed, right? Mm-hmm. So unless his body had been carried out already, then it would have been exposed in that area.
Or he wasn't there to begin with.
Exactly. So who knows?
It's so hard when you're dealing with water.
Yeah, and it's unpredictable, right? Like
it's so unpredictable. You just never know what can happen overnight, what can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like the water is just, yeah.
And it's powerful. The flowing rivers it's very powerful. It can.
His boot was tossed in there to throw people off, right?
Yeah. That seems to be the theory that Jason and his brother Justin had. Like that's why they did the experiment, throwing them off the bridge. And if they landed in the same spot, I mean, that seems pretty straightforward, I guess. But who knows?
Jason and Ashley believe that Dorothy, Dylan's grandmother, is holding back in her story, that something else happened and she's afraid to say because she doesn't want to get into trouble. Dorothy says that there is nothing more to the story. However, when looking at the pictures and Google Street View, it seems unlikely that the 18 seconds that Dorothy was turned away from Dylan, as per the police test, that Dylan could have made it down the driveway. And yes, there are 3 possible corners he could have turned. But if Dorothy had ran to these corners as she said she did and looked in either direction, she should have been able to see Dylan running. In those 18 seconds that Dorothy was turned away, she was putting a leash on her new puppy. If Dylan had started to run away while the puppy was getting its leash on, that puppy would have barked and pulled because they would have wanted to run with Dylan. It was reported that Dylan was mesmerized by the puppy, so I do find it unlikely that he would have run away from the puppy. During interviews with media, Dorothy also refers to Dylan in the past tense quite a bit. While this is not proof of guilt, it is something that people tend to do while struggling to keep their story straight. It's also worth noting that during a 2023 police board appeal, the former lead investigator admitted that while he interviewed Jeff Parsons shortly after the disappearance, he did not interview Sean Parsons, Jeff's son, who also lived in the home, because Sean was reportedly at work at the time. The investigator further testified that he did not independently confirm Sean's presence at his workplace on that day. While the specific company name was not disclosed in these public proceedings, Dylan's father, Jason Ehler, has publicly criticized this lack of verification as a major gap in the initial investigation. There are no public records, and investigative testimony does not specify Sean Parsons' exact place of employment. Ashley doesn't want Dorothy, her mother, in her life anymore, which is understandable. It would be hard to look at her. How would you not blame her in some way? The same as a parent would blame themselves if they were the ones watching them.
Yeah. So, not saying that Sean has anything to do with this whatsoever, but again, it's another fuck up of the police. I'm sorry, but you need to verify the location of and the alibis of all people living in the house at the time.
Yeah.
He should have been interviewed, whether I'm not saying he has anything to do with it or whatever. I just feel everybody should have been interviewed by police. I also think it's so they did like the test to see how long it took Dorothy to put the leash on the puppy. And so it was 18 seconds, right? But she had told the cops that she just turned around for like 8 to 10 seconds. Now I get it. Like, who knows? That could be a simple mistake. But there's no way you turn around to put a leash on a dog and then turn back around and they've completely vanished. Whether it's 8 seconds, 10 seconds, 18 seconds, he's only 3. And he's a little hefty 3-year-old, right? Like, he's not agile and super, he's not going to be super speedy for a 3-year-old. Not making any, I don't mean any disrespect to him whatsoever. I just mean some 3-year-olds are faster than others. I don't think he was, making any time. I just think it's not enough time. I don't think in 18 seconds, and that dog would have been losing its shit. It's a puppy. Puppies love kids, even little asshole puppies, like my puppy. When he was a puppy, if the kids were moving and stuff, he would be letting me know, he'd be barking hey, the little fucker's gonna run away. Right? That's just the way dogs are. And if this puppy and Dylan were close, that puppy would have tried to run right after him. And if somebody, if a stranger had been close by, there again, the puppy would have been barking and going crazy. So either Dorothy has no concept of what dogs do, or the story is not correct. And I hate to say it, but I tend to agree with Ashley and Jason. There's more to this story. And I'm not saying she did anything wrong. I'm not saying she has any involvement in Dylan's disappearance, but I feel like she's not being honest. And because maybe she doesn't want to get in trouble. And I get that, but there's a big difference between I turned around for 18 seconds versus I left him outside while I ran inside to go to the bathroom or to whatever. There's a big fucking difference. And their search radius would have been different. 18-second head start versus maybe you had a 20-minute head start, maybe you had a half an hour head start, maybe you only had 10 minutes, but it's still a big difference from 18 seconds. They would have widened, hopefully, their search area, right?
Working with kids, though, and a 3-year-old, they're not getting far in 18 seconds.
They're not. And And
You
so,
would see them at some point, you would see them turn a corner, or you'd get the glimpse of their hair or their arms.
exactly.
You would see something.
And looking at like the aerial shots of this property, like it's pretty, the streets are pretty open. Like even so they, if he turned down one corner and she could have looked the opposite way, you're gonna look one way, you're gonna turn and look the other way, and you would have seen him. There was three different places they could have gone, even though she was an older lady. She's not 90. She's not decrepit. She was perfectly capable of moving, right? I mean, she had a new puppy. She had to have been able to walk at least. Like, so she could have quickly, within a minute, she could have circled that whole property and checked everything out.
Yeah.
No reason in 18 seconds that kid should have been completely out of her sight. So I call bullshit on your.
I call bullshit too. I think something happened and they're just trying to cover it up.
Yeah. I actually think there was either an accident in the home and involving either the grandfather or the stepson. And I say accident, I don't mean, I don't know if they like I'm not accusing them of beating them, but I'm saying like there was some kind of accident and it got covered up. Like the grandfather came home for an hour for lunch. So an hour is a long time, right? I don't know. That's my theory. That's what I kind of thought from the very beginning. And I think Dorothy is trying to cover that up. Doug Manital, sometimes referred to as Doug, which we are going to call him Doug.
Well, that is his name after all.
Right? I figured there had to be some like inside joke or something for that, but I'm like, we're just going to leave that in there. Maybe there's multiple Dougs and this one just gets Doug. So he is a friend of Dylan Ehler's grandfather, Norman Brown, who became involved in the initial volunteer search efforts for Dylan. He is a private citizen, not a police officer or professional search and rescue personnel, and he used his own dog in the search. Doug participated as a community volunteer in the search along the Salmon River and Leper Brook area, where Dylan Ehler was last seen. His dog was a hunting dog, not a certified search and rescue or cadaver dog from a professional organization. Doug was given a Sobeys plastic bag containing Dylan's blanket to use as a scent article for his dog during the search. Doug walked around the area with the blanket. Unfortunately, doing so contaminated the scene. According to Jason, Doug was later charged with interfering with an investigation and fined $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Which, if he was genuinely just trying to help, that does suck.
Yeah, that
But he
does.
had to have known. You're taking like an article from the child and you're walking around the area with it, spreading its scent particles. Like you had to have known that, right? Like that seems like common sense to me.
Yeah.
But also, just because he's got a hound dog doesn't mean the dog is good at following a scent. That's completely different. Like those dogs, like scent dogs, are totally trained for that. Like it's a whole like little doggy academy that they go to, right? Like it's not just as simple as sniff this. Now go find it, boy. Like this
Yeah.
isn't Lassie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're professionals, and I mean, I could give Merle, he's our Australian Shepherd, I could be like, sniff this blanket, now go find it. He ain't going nowhere. He's snuggling up with that blanket. He ain't looking for shit, man. I just think, like, I think people take that for granted that dogs can, yes, they have great sense of smells. And some maybe are just naturally good at that, but you can't assume your dog would know what it's doing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my other dog would cock its leg on that blanket because he's a dick. Jason posted a YouTube video talking about Doug and his dog back in 2024. In the video, he mentions that the boots that were found on day one were not, in fact, Dylan's. They were in the bag that Doug was carrying during the search, and that there were pictures of the boots in the bag in news clippings. However, I found the news clippings thanks to help from somebody on Facebook, and I don't see the boots in this bag at all. I zoomed in as far as I could. I used all my Photoshops and all that stuff. It's just a blanket in that bag, to be honest, in my opinion. After looking at the pictures, it's unclear to be sure, but I don't see them. The colors seen in the bag match the colors of the blanket, basically. So it's a Lightning McQueen blanket that's kind of folded up and or scrunched up and put in this bag. I don't see the boots in there at all, unfortunately. And I don't know. I think the guy was I think he was trying to help. I think he put too much credit into his dog's capabilities. I bet you his dog is great at hunting. Like hounds are good for that. But I don't think this dog specifically would have been able to. But I do think he just was trying to help.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think when you're talking about a missing 3-year-old, everybody wants to help. If God forbid one of like my day home kids were missing, I would be right there with Merle because I'm like,
Yeah.
Merle loves these kids. He will find. He's not gonna. He's gonna go for a walk and he'll go wherever we take him. But they just, like everybody wants to help, but I think it's a misguided incident that happened, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people put too much stock in it. I think people seem to think it was something sinister. I don't, just my opinion, but I don't think so.
Sadly, it wasn't long before online sleuths turned on Ashley, Dylan's mother. Ashley had posted some TikToks a few weeks prior to Dylan's disappearance. People interpreted the videos as proof that Ashley had harmed her son. One video was with Ashley and Dylan, and the voiceover clip says, "Do you ever just look at somebody and think to yourself, this motherfucker's going to be the reason I go to jail?" The other one is Ashley by herself lip-syncing a parody of the Frozen song, "Do You Want to Build a Snowman?" The voiceover says, "Can you help me hide a body? Come on, we can't delay." Then another voice comes on and says, "What did you do?" The song continues, "No one can see him on the floor. Get him out the door before he can decay." So while yes, after Dylan's disappearance, these look damning, they are done weeks prior. And they were a trend, not something Ashley had come up with herself. Were they in poor taste? Maybe. Certainly there are some that will find them in poor taste regardless of who made them, and that's fine. But everyone has different ideas of what is funny or entertaining. But I think this is just an unfortunate coincidence, and had Dylan not gone missing, no one would have looked at these twice. Is this some kind of proof Ashley had anything to do with Dylan's disappearance? I would say no. I find it hard to believe that a mother who had any intentions of harming her child would intentionally post a video like this.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. This has got a lot of heat. Like she was fucking like just destroyed over this. I find these videos absolutely harmless. I think, like I said, it's the timing and the fact that Dylan went missing like a few weeks later. It's really unfortunate, but I don't think they had any meaning or anything.
Did you see them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they were very clever. And so the one, do you ever just look at somebody and think to yourself, this motherfucker is going to be the reason I go to jail? I would have 100% done that with my kid because people took it as, she's going to jail for hurting him. That's not what that fucking meant. It meant you're going to have to kill a motherfucker because they hurt your baby boy. Is what that meant.
Yeah.
And so people took it out of context. And I tell you, someone hurt my kid, I'd be going to jail too. And so that's all that video meant. 100%. Okay, so then the other one, I think it's funny as hell. If it wasn't, there again, the coincidence with Dylan unfortunately going missing. But I don't think it had anything to do with Dylan at all. Like, how many times do we say, or is there those like reels and stuff, and they're like, who would you call? Like, I can't remember how it goes, but it's something about like you call your best friend and you're like, hey,
to bury a body.
Yeah, that's all I think that was.
Yeah.
It's no different than the Dixie Chick song, Goodbye Earl.
It's just a coincidence, right? Exactly. And people are going hard with it.
Exactly. And nobody said shit about the hundreds of thousands of other people that did those trends. Yeah. None of them went, hey, oh my God, did you do something to somebody that, like, it was just the worst coincidence in the world. But there's no, like, okay, let's say she did harm Dylan. Is she that dumb that she's going to put these videos up weeks before to be like, hey guys, and just in case you wanted to know. Like, there's no fucking way you would, right?
No.
Like, so absolutely not. I think these have nothing to do with Dylan's case, and I think it unfortunately just takes attention away from finding Dylan.
Yeah.
So yeah, people let it go. Yes, it looks in poor taste now, but it didn't at the time that she made them. People are looking too much into it. Let it go. It has nothing to do with the other.
In the weeks and months that followed Dylan's disappearance, some people accused Ashley and Jason of negligence leading to his disappearance. Others have accused them of orchestrating his disappearance or even killing their own son without any evidence. Many of these discussions happened over Facebook, where one group dedicated to the case had more than 17,000 members. The group Dylan Ehler's Open for Discussions, or Dylan Ehler's Open for Suggestions, was administered by April Diane Moulton and Tom Hurley, also known as Tom Hubley. A lawyer representing the parents launched a court action against Moulton and Hurley under Nova Scotia's Intimate Images and Cyber Protection Act. In an order signed in Nova Scotia Supreme Court, Moulton was prohibited for reopening that discussion group or starting another one like it. Moulton is also prohibited from making any further public posts about Dylan Ehler or his parents. As part of the order, the couple's request for damages from Moulton was dismissed. That ended the court action against her. The action against Hurley got more complicated. The couple's lawyer, Allison Harris, exchanged a series of emails with him, offering the same agreement that had ended the legal action against Moulton.
You know, these poor parents, man. You know, we are innocent until proven guilty. There's no evidence whatsoever that the parents had anything to do with Dylan's disappearance. And for them to have to fight a legal battle over Facebook groups because people are just being fucking ruthless on these groups. I don't know. And, you know, being online detectives thinking they know what they're talking about and stuff. Shut up. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I get it. Jason does not come across as the most likable person. He doesn't. I totally get that. But you're accusing him of harming his 3-year-old while he's actively trying to find his 3-year-old. Like, I don't know. It just, I can't help but feel for the parents. I'm sorry, but, and I don't think every parent in the cases that we have covered so far are innocent, but I sure as fuck think these two are. So there's that.
People on social media are so mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're just-
100%.
They are so mean. You know what? I can ask a simple question in a group, like something very, like I did the other day, and I asked a very simple question, and then you have somebody who comes on and they're just mean. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, oh my God.
Right?
Like the kindness just radiates off you, dude. Like just why? Just keep going. You don't have to try and make me feel stupid, right?
Right?
Like it's just people are mean. I don't know, and they don't know how to just shut up.
Yeah. So when we first decided to cover this case, I posted in one of the groups about Dylan. I was like, "Hey, we've just covered the Lily and Jack Sullivan case, and we're gonna cover this one. Anything in particular that stands out that I should look into?" And some people were super helpful and gave me like things to look into, and I did. And a lot of people would say like, look into the dad. There's something up with the dad. Deep. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, on it. Because I didn't know the case. And I'm like, I'm going to call this motherfucker out. And I have, it has been months. I have looked every fucking place. I have stalked this poor dad, like in the shadows, but I've been stalking his social media. Like I haven't said anything to him, but I've been, everything he posts, I'm like on it. And I'm looking, and I've gone all the way back to when Dylan disappeared. I'm like, okay, so he's not super likable, but there's nothing on this dad at all. And there is one thing, and we are going to talk about that. But other than that one thing, he's just a desperate dad trying to find his kid, man.
Yeah.
I was like, the amount of hate on these groups for him, I'm like, this guy's done something. He has to have done something. Nothing. Everywhere I have looked, and I've looked in places I don't want to be looking ever again. And
What? Where have you been looking where you don't want to look ever again?
I had shit come up that was like, if it was seen on my browser, people would ask questions just from his name. And I was like, that's not the same guy. It's not the same person. Like,
What kind of stuff?
like child
What?
corn, but it's not him. It is
Okay,
not the
it's just
same
somebody
dad.
with the same
It's
name.
not even it's someone named Jason and his last name starts with an E. It's not him because this guy
Okay.
is Chinese.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
Dylan's dad is not. So
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
like, everything that came up I'm like, here we go. This is what they're talking about. I'm like, that's not him. That's not the same guy. Like,
Okay.
there was nothing. Like, he
Yeah.
has a lot of online presence. None of it is anything but I am trying to find my son.
Right.
That's it. There is some things where he does ask people for money, and yes, he may use that money for drugs, like marijuana. Okay. Don't give him money if you don't want to. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, he's not saying, "Hey, I need this money to find my son," and then smoking it. Like, he's asking for money to help get somewhere or somewhere to he doesn't ask for money to help find Dylan and then use that for something else that I could find. Sure, is he doing it and I'm not clever enough to find it? Possibly. But if you watch all his videos, there is desperation in this dad's eyes. There is like he sticks to his story. He sticks to facts that he believes are facts. Like, we're gonna get into it a little bit more, like in a little bit, but don't think as bad as what people make him out to be. I think
Right.
maybe someone said something and it spiraled into something else, and there's these stories, and it's just become this huge, out of control thing.
That's what social media does.
Exactly. But I think if people took the time to watch all of his YouTube videos, which I did, every single one, I watched every single TikTok, I have seen every single everything on this guy. And is he super likable? No. He's kind of a dick. But I don't think he did anything to Dylan.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying nobody did something to Dylan, but if they did, he doesn't know about it. Not like in the other one, where I 100% think family was involved. In the Jack and Lily Sullivan, I 100% think the
Right.
family
Is
was
his
involved.
last name the same? What
Yeah,
is it? Jason Ehler?
yeah. It's hard to watch his YouTube videos and see anything more than just a dad
Wait.
that's lost his son.
Okay.
No, if you keep looking for long enough, like I literally spent hours and hours and hours looking for anything related to this guy. And he's had trouble with the law, 100%. He's had some drug issues. He's had some things that are not favorable. None of them have anything to do with Dylan. Like, him and Ashley had a very volatile, is that the word?
Volatile.
Volatile, yeah,
Volatile. Yeah.
like relationship. Like, it wasn't a good one on either side. They both, it's like six of one, half a dozen of the other, right? So they're both involved in that. They're both as bad as each other, but I don't think they ever harmed Dylan. Like,
Right.
even like as far as like spanking or any, like, I don't see that at all.
Right.
So yeah, he's worth check out some of his videos. I mean, a lot of them are just him talking about missing Dylan and stuff. But honestly, what the fuck else is he supposed to do? He's trying to
Yeah.
keep his online presence active. He's posting often. Sure, there's not much new information that he's posting. A lot of it is like pictures of Dylan, but he's trying to keep Dylan's memory and Dylan's like case in like active and in public eyes, right? Of course he is. He's doing exactly what he's doing is exactly what a parent who is missing their son would be doing.
Right.
Not like other parents that sit back and don't say shit.
Right.
And there was some comment, one is like, you're just trying to get famous. I don't think he's trying to get famous.
No.
He's not out here, look, I just made this song. I just made this
Right.
rap. He's not
Yeah.
doing that. He's like, my child is missing.
Talking about his son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that's not 15 minutes of fame that I would personally want, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Trouble continued to follow for the parents. Efforts to engage the community were further complicated after Jason was arrested and charged with fraud in January of 2022. Jason was implicated in writing bad checks in amounts ranging from $100 to $800 from a bank account belonging to a deceased person. The charges were unrelated to Dylan and were ultimately referred for restorative justice. Jason's ex-girlfriend, Sarah Beth, claimed Jason told her he waited behind Dorothy's house behind the fence because he was mad at Ashley for not letting him see Dylan. He said he grabbed Dylan and shoved him into the brook until he stopped breathing. He said, "I can't tell you what I did with him after that, but I threw his body off the train bridge."
Okay, so, and this is what I was talking about. So this, he was completely loaded, whether high, drunk, combo of both, whatever, and made this statement, which does not look good, for sure. This doesn't look good on him. But that's a fragment of the statement. I guess he continued to say, like, if everybody says I've done it, I guess I've done it. That's what I did. And like,
Right.
I don't think, dude, it doesn't make you look great, but I still think, he was completely high or drunk or both or whatever. And I think he just said stupid shit.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but there again, I'm going to come back to, if this is him making a confession, why the fuck has he continued year after year to make public pleas for Dylan's return? Like, or, we're still searching. Why is he going out every weekend? If he had killed his son and that was his, like, confession, get the fuck out of Dodge, man. Wouldn't you leave? Wouldn't you suddenly just be like, I guess we'll never find him and stop looking?
Yeah.
You're not going to continue to bring police presence and attention and the public attention to yourself because they're going to eventually find who did it, right? Like, I think it was a drunken fuck up and he said something really stupid.
Jason emailed police over and over. He made police complaints and organized a protest that ended up in the lobby of the police department. The police began to get frustrated and annoyed by Jason's interference, telling him that he could only email them once a week and no longer contact the lead investigator. It's important to remember when looking at cases such as Dylan's, Darius McDougal, and Lily and Jack Sullivan that you take all personal feelings out of it and only look at the facts. How you feel about the parents or grandparents or anyone else connected to it doesn't matter. You can't judge them based on social media posts made before the incident and taken out of context, or their financial status, or even drug and alcohol use. You have to look at the facts, and that can be very hard to do, especially when it comes to missing children. And with many missing children cases, there simply are not a lot of facts to go on. We have the grandmother's account of what happened. The boots that were discovered were confirmed to be Dylan's by his mother, Ashley. Witnesses put Ashley at a coffee shop with a friend at the time Dylan went missing. The police canvassed the area that day Dylan went missing. They went house to house in the direct area and viewed any video footage around the area, along with businesses in the area. They have followed up on all leads as well as tips that were called into police and into Crime Stoppers. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any leads that provided any evidence. The police have said from day one that they don't believe there is foul play involved. They believe that Dylan wandered off and fell in the water. That being said, they have followed up on every lead and tip they have received. It's possible they have more evidence than they are saying. They could have hold back evidence that is not made public, that only the person who committed the crime would know. It's also possible that they are building a case against someone. They will need concrete evidence to do that, and without a body, that would be very difficult.
And I think that's part of the problem. Like, that's all the facts that we have. That's fuck all to go on. There's not much leading anywhere. And I think that's where a lot of the judgment to the parents is coming from because of the lack of facts.
It also feels like every other case, though, too. I feel like they don't take missing children as seriously as they should in a police form.
Right. It's hard to say because we only hear certain things that they're doing, right? And so when we look at it from the outside, we're like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Nothing. You haven't, because you haven't found any evidence, you're not doing anything. But I guess the lack of evidence counts as evidence in some way.
But
I don't know.
it's more so of like the fact of they didn't look at that surveillance system.
Exactly.
They should have, but
Yeah.
or they didn't question that person. I think that's where they're lacking. I think,
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's where they don't really take it seriously enough to do enough.
And to jump instantly to the wall to absolutely go search there, look there, do everything. But if you can't find any trace evidence of him being there, the boots excluded, like initially they couldn't find anything, that's the only place they were looking. So if all their resources are looking into the water, if someone did take them and drove away, well, they've got hours and hours head start because the police were busy looking this way and they went that way. And I get it, their resources are limited. There's only so much they can do, only so much time, but I don't know, man. But because of the lack of any other evidence, people jump to the parents, which, yes, it usually child abductions, there's usually a parent or someone they know or like a family member. There's usually someone they know involved, right? Which I 100% get, but that's not 100% all the time either. Stranger abductions do happen. And I find it's weird. There's a lot of similar circumstances with this and the Lily and Jack Sullivan case. Not to mention the fact that they're only 43 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
And that may mean nothing for sure. But what are the odds? Right? Like, I don't know. It just seems weird. And then there's 5 years almost to the day that they went missing. It just seems weird. So I know plenty of people have their theories, the main one being that Jason himself killed Dylan. Jason's exact whereabouts when Dylan went missing are unclear. Jason has stated he was on the phone talking with victim services for 2 hours at the time Dylan went missing. However, there has been no public confirmation of that by the police. And that is something that someone told me to look into. Unfortunately, you cannot just ask for phone records for other people. And believe me, I tried, and it was a big no. You just public people, you can't ask for other people's phone records, unfortunately, especially when they are trying to talk to victim services. You can't. Hi, I'm a nobody from a completely different province. May I have some phone records? Like they're like, oh, you're funny. Click. That just wouldn't happen. Jason had trouble with domestic violence in the past, but not towards Dylan. He did make a video somewhat confessing to the crime. However, he explains that the confession was made during a mental break. I apologize. I said he was drunk. For some reason, I thought he was drunk, but during a mental break, like the amount of stress you're under when your 3-year-old child is missing. And then not only are you this father who's missing their 3-year-old child, but now the entire or a big chunk of the internet is saying that you did it. You don't think that's fucking stressful?
Yeah.
I think that warrants a mental break, right? And it was more along the lines of, if everyone says I killed my son, then I guess I killed my son. People again point to the reactions Jason has had and the lack of emotional pleas. Okay, you don't know how you would react and how you would plead for your child. And I'm telling you, he looks pretty emotional in some of them, especially in the W5 interview. He was very emotional during that. But when you're making a public plea, it's really hard for the public to understand you if you're very emotional. If you're sobbing and crying and you can't talk, people can't understand you, so they don't know what the plea is, right? So I'm assuming parents work really fucking hard to make those pleas without being emotional so that they can get their message across clearly. And so I don't think we can judge him for that. So he's had trouble with the law since Dylan's disappearance. Again, it had nothing to do with Dylan. It was for writing checks that were not his to write. He has struggled to keep a job and has asked for money online. Could you imagine going to work every day while your 3-year-old's missing? I think I'd just struggle to keep a job too, to be honest.
Yeah. There
There have been claims of drug use Again, I probably would be high as fuck, so I can't fault him for that either. But none of this is direct evidence that he had any involvement of his son's disappearance. His whereabouts at the time Dylan went missing could easily be confirmed by police if, in fact, he was on the phone with victim services. The fact that they haven't verified is odd, but there again, maybe we're expecting too much from the police. His so-called confession was made under the influence, so would not hold up in court anyway. The rest is simply public opinion. And you have to remember that two things can be true at the same time. So Jason Ehler could be a not so great guy with a drug problem and the father of a missing boy. But just because he has a drug problem and isn't such a great guy does not mean he had anything to do with his son's disappearance. Most of us have two things about us at the same time. I look after children all day. I also swear like a fucking sailor and like horror movies. Neither of the two are related, right?
I'm the exact same. I'm the exact same as you.
Right?
I look after children. I have a really bad mouth, and I
Right?
love horror movies, and yeah,
But does either affect the other, right? Does the
no,
fact that we swear and like horror movies mean we can't be loving and caring to children? Monday
right.
to Friday, 7 to 5? Right? Like, they don't have any impact, I don't think, at
I'm
all.
actually the coolest child caregiver,
I would say
like,
me too.
ever.
Right?
Right? Like, I joke around with them. We have fun together,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah,
And
I'm
I
a
th
pretty cool person.
and I think you get more of a chance to be cool because your kids are older.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I say things and I'm like, that was so funny. The 3-year-olds look at me like, what the fuck? I'm like,
Yeah,
God damn, if you were older,
yeah,
you would be laughing so
yeah.
hard.
No, it's so funny. They have like great personalities and they're so much fun to joke around with.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So two things can be true about a person at the same time, is
yeah,
basically all we're getting at.
yeah.
Just because he might be a bit of a dick doesn't mean he had any involvement in his son's disappearance. It's easy for people to say how they would react in a situation, but the truth is you really have no idea. And to say that Jason doesn't show enough emotion or he acts in a way you don't think is how he should act has no bearing on his guilt or innocence.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my good example. With certain things that are like devastating, like let's say funerals, most people cry and are sad. Not my dumbass. I laugh. And and not because
That's
I think it's funny,
actually,
but that's just my response. And I will make jokes, and it's not out of being heartless.
right.
It is like, oh my God, my family will kill me.
Well, I hope
They
you
don't
speak
listen
at my
anyway.
funeral then.
Right. So I think when people have an expectation of others of how they react, you're just
Yeah.
self-projecting how you think you would react. If my child was missing, personally, I don't think I would be a sobbing mess. I think I would be a raging cunt and being like, where the fuck is my kid? And I would be storming everywhere looking for my kid. I don't think I would be the mom that falls apart because that's not how I handle shit. Later, myself, hidden away, I would fall apart, but I would not be crying in front of other people. That's just not what I do.
Right.
So I don't think we can judge whether he's sad enough or too sad or whatever. If you think Jason Ehler is responsible for his son's disappearance, then you have to believe that he is clever enough to have picked Dylan up unseen by anyone and without leaving any evidence behind. If in fact Dylan went into the water, there are no footprints found belonging to either Jason or Dylan. Jason's home and vehicle was searched by police, and while details of the searches have not been released by the police, they have stated they don't suspect foul play. So if you believe Jason is responsible and there was no evidence that they were in the water, no evidence in Jason's vehicle or home, then what did he do with Dylan and where? You would also have to believe that Jason has spent the last 5 years pretending to look for Dylan. That every video he has made, he has done so while acting like he didn't do anything. That every video is a performance. But that's giving him a lot of credit to someone who you also believe to be a drug addict. and not very smart. Jason has constantly bombarded the police, added pressure to them, called them out for not finding Dylan, so much so that the police told him he could only send the one email a week and could no longer contact the lead investigator. This is not how guilty parents act. A guilty parent would not bring so much attention to themselves. They wouldn't put blame on other people or offer up solutions. Guilty parents try to ingratiate themselves with others. Innocent parents are frustrated with police for not finding their kid. They could not care less what others think of them. Their only concern is finding their kid. And they would absolutely blame everyone possible to their child being missing, because anything is possible until a solution is found, right? So just like Jason had publicly placed blame on Dylan's grandmother, Dorothy, he's going to put that blame everywhere because he wants to find Dylan. He doesn't want to hide and like keep quiet, right? Like he is bringing attention to Dylan over and over and over and over again. That's not what you do if you're involved. A guilty dad would stay quiet. He would just be like, oh yeah, no, let the cops do their job. They're not going to offer up any help. They're not going to offer any possible leads to anything in fear that that shit's going to come back to them, right? And if you think that he is acting this whole time, goddamn man, that guy needs an Oscar because like, I don't see in any of his videos he doesn't slip, he doesn't falter, he never speaks about Dylan with past tense, which Dorothy does all the time. And usually people do that because not necessarily because they know that they're dead. Like sometimes they do for that reason, but sometimes it's because they're trying to keep all the lies straight within themselves. It's too complicated and confusing. And Jason doesn't do that. Guilty parents also don't continue to look for their child, and Jason Ehler searches for Dylan almost every day, walking the banks of the Leper Brook and Salmon River, Copaquid Bay, and documenting most of his searches on his YouTube channel. So, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem very guilty to me. Ashley and Jason desperately want to find their son. If you have any information about the disappearance of Dylan Ehler, please contact 1-902-895-5351. Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. RCMP at 1-902-893-6820. And that's it for Dylan Ehler. He would be 8.
It's crazy.
There was some more but nothing really relevant. A lot of just speculation and online nonsense. But, and I get it, like the people in these Facebook groups, I don't think they necessarily have bad intentions either. I think they're just looking for anything to grasp onto. And that's just me giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, is it this group that has a cease and desist out?
No, not the one that we've been in. That's not the group. The group.
What is it for Dylan? Is that the Dylan group?
Yeah, that one, the one with the cease and desist, it got shut down. It's deleted. It's gone.
Because I saw that post about the cease and desist or whatever, and I was like, oh, here we go again.
And the sad thing is that Jason is in that group, and so he sees all this stuff. Whether you like the guy or not, his kid's missing.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a minute. You're on there talking shit and saying how he's done this, he's done that, he's done this, and that he harmed his kid, and that his 3-year-old child is missing. How are you going to feel after talking all that shit if they find out that he had nothing to do with it?
But it's how will you feel if you were in his spot?
Just exactly that. Take yourself and put yourself in his shoes for 5 minutes. The guy can't hold a job. No shit. His 3-year-old went missing 5 years ago, and you all have just treated him like shit.
If he can't hold a job, that's nobody's business. That has
Exactly.
nothing to do with the fact that his son is missing, right? Like, it's just like, mind your own business. Who cares?
Right?
He has mental health issues. I mean, who wouldn't after their child goes missing, right? But
Exactly.
yeah, it's no one's business whether or not he can hold a job.
Or maybe where they live is very shitty job opportunities.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not a lot around there.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair to judge people based on stuff like that. Like, none of the criminal activity that he has been involved in has anything to do with harming children. So I think it's unfair to say, well, just because he has, like he wrote bad checks, so therefore he drowned his son. What?
Right.
How does that go
He
with
can't
that,
hold a
right?
job, so therefore he drowned his son,
Right?
right?
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If the guy all of a sudden was like, well, I'm sure glad we had that $10 million life insurance plan on Dylan that I got to cash, then I'd say, hey, maybe that's suspicious.
Right.
Let's look into that.
Yeah.
But he has not benefited financially. If anything, he has had the opposite, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
suffered financially because of this. So, what benefit does he have for it? Like,
Right.
I don't know. This one, I feel like people are barking up the wrong tree with this one. Now go back to the Jack and Lily Sullivan and go bark up those parents' tree. Go
Yeah.
there. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, those parents, where the fuck are they? Why do we not see them in the media all the time? Why are they not making pleas all the time? Why are they not blaming each other? Let me tell you, if my kids went missing and both myself and my husband were sleeping, I'd be blaming his fucking ass for not waking up. Even though I didn't, I'd be like, why the fuck didn't you wake up? Why didn't you hear something? And I would expect he would do the same to me. If we had no involvement, why are we not blaming each other? Why are we not blaming grandma who was out, lived on the trailer out back, right? And the kids went out that way. Why the fuck didn't she hear something? Like, that's how you should be reacting, not like, oh, like, and let me just disappear and leave the area where my children went missing from. Those are the parents that maybe I'll need to look a little closer at. But this dad, who is constantly, where's my kid? I'm looking for my kid. Does this person have involvement? Like, and the people that are like what are they called? The psychic people that are contacting him, leave the fucking guy alone. You're
Yeah.
being assholes. Leave him alone. Stop trying to get it. Like, I watched one video of him, man, and this woman was just full of shit. And the poor guy, like, obviously he's gonna listen to everybody because he wants to find his kid. Leave him alone. Stop being assholes. Like, people have no human decency or empathy at all when it comes to shit like that. So that's it for Moms on Mics this week.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Moms on Mics Podcast, on TikTok at Moms on Mics, and join our Facebook group, Moms on Mics.
If anyone has any topics you would like us to cover, or if you have any questions or suggestions, you can email us at momsonmics@gmail.com or submit through our website, momsonmics.com.
We would also appreciate it if you could rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps the podcast move up on their charts so it gets more exposure. I hope you join us again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.